All right. Well, we have a wonderful international group here. Does anyone want to suggest a particular topic or has a question? Anything at all? Maybe one of our first time friends here want to have a particular topic or question, or maybe Chintamani or Chinmoy Prabhu want to suggest something.
Vishakha, I have a question.
Okay, cool.
So how does Krishna consciousness relate to chakras and kundalini and those yogic systems?
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, I'm really glad you asked that question. It's an important topic, and for me, I feel like the vision on this that is given by Krishna consciousness and by the deeper explanations of the Vedas, it demonstrates how refined and how developed this conception is. And essentially, our view on all those things is that they are part of this material plane, but they are subtle. They are an expression of subtle material energy. So, for that because they're subtle, because this aspect of our existence is subtle, then it's easy to equate that with something that is purely spiritual, or something that is, for someone who's a sincere spiritual seeker, for something to be given much attention. But for us, we see that as just a part of this whole material domain. And I mean, if somebody wanted to approach that subject matter from the angle of health and wellness, that's another matter, but in terms of like actually becoming seriously involved and investing one's faith in that, we actually see it as we see those things as very inconsequential, actually, very negligible things in comparison to what is the nature of the soul and what is the nature of what we call the nirguna plane, which means the pure spiritual realm. So, people, they get excited about these because we live in a world of gross matter. Then at first consideration, anything, and most people, for the most part, the people that we meet in the world, they're not interested in much beyond just what's important on the grossly physical plane. So for persons who are interested in something more, then these things can seem very exciting. But ultimately, we just see it as a distraction. They are things that are pertaining to our material existence. We have our physical body, and then we also have our subtle bodies. And for those of you who have read Bhagavad Gita, then there Krishna explains that the material energy is comprised of eight elements, or 5 gross and 3 subtle. And so the 5 gross are earth, water, fire, air, ether. And then the 3 subtle are the mind, the intellect, and then the ahankara, the false ego. So these things, to do with chakras and things like that, they're to do with the more subtle aspect of the material, of our material existence and this material plane. So in comparison to gross matter, then it can seem very fascinating and, very refined. But in comparison to the plane of soul and to the plane of pure spirit, then these things are also gross. Chakras are also something gross, and they're pertaining to our temporary existence. it's funny, because there are some people who get kind of bent out of shape because most people don't really believe in those things, and so they'll there are people who can have a bit of a chip on their shoulder or be on a campaign like to prove that these things exist, whether it's chakras or it's fairies or aliens or whatever. But for us, it's our approach is, yes, they exist, but we're not so interested. we have something bigger, something bigger that we're giving our attention to. So yeah, I think that's all I have to say on that. Does that make sense, Varun?
Yes, thank you. I also heard that it's they're like stepping stones in a sense when working with like chakras and kundalini, or and yoga asanas, pranayama. So in a way, can those assist in Krishna consciousness to kind of to get our bodies a little lighter and softer, and get a bit more focused inside of ourselves?
It's true that is one approach that one could take that approach. There are two paths, we can say. There's this step-by-step constitutional path, and then which would be along the lines of what you've just said. And then there's the revolutionary path. And Krishna consciousness, the approach of Krishna consciousness is the revolutionary path. So if we look, Bhagavad Gita is very helpful in this regard, because it's Bhagavad Gita is kind of like a concise demonstration of the whole approach of the Vedas and Vedic thought and the Vedic system. Because what we see in Bhagavad Gita is that there is a step-by-step approach. Karma yoga is described there, Jnana yoga is described there, Ashtanga yoga and these asanas that you're referring to, those are also described there. So all of these methods, which are really for the purpose of what you're describing, purification of the mind and self, becoming eligible to live in the plane of pure soul. So those things are all described in Bhagavad Gita. But then finally in the 18th chapter, in the final chapter, Krishna says, Sarvadharmam prityaja mamekam sharanam vraja. You know what? You don't have to do all of that. Just settle that aside. You can just come directly to me. Just come to me for a relationship of love. Just love me and serve me. And everything else, aham tvam sarvapapebhyo mokshaya shami mashucha. And I'll take care of any problems, that may come as a result of you leaving everything else. Just come to me. I'll take care of everything. So these are the two lines of development that are described in the Vedas, and it's actually something quite extraordinary. And our Gurudev, he liked to consider this point, that there's like the line of gradual evolution, and then there's a line of revolution. And essentially, Krishna has given the whole Vedic system. Krishna has given so many processes, so many steps. And then finally, Krishna himself rejects all of that. So yes, that is one line of approach, but it's not what Krishna consciousness is about. And we see, all of those methods, as well. I mean, you said that yourself. They can be a means of gradually approaching the highest plane of thought, the highest approach, which is a relationship of pure love. But the approach of Krishna consciousness is just go straight to that central thing. And because it is so potent and so powerful, then as a side effect, it will as a negligible side effect, it will achieve the results of all these other processes. So like, the yoga practice, the main idea of that is purification, right? And to realize the spiritual self. But through the path of bhakti, through the path of devotion, that is something that will be very small, very small side effect. It's like one example Srila Sridhar Maharaj gave is like he mentioned it said, there's a particular point in the brain, I don't know what that is, but if you like press that point, everything in the body will be paralyzed. It's something like that. You do this essential thing, this most essential thing, and everything else will be covered by that. Whatever you want to, whatever needs to be achieved, whatever needs to be purified, whatever, it will all be fulfilled as a very small side effect of doing this central thing, this main thing. You do your main duty, and all the smaller duties, they will be fulfilled automatically. In the scripture Srimad Bhagavatam, the simple example is given of watering the root of a tree. If you put your water on the root, then the whole tree is nourished thereby. So this is the idea of Krishna consciousness, and this is something, in the scriptures that are pertaining to the practice of pure devotion. This is mentioned in many places. You just offer your love to the Lord, and everything else will be achieved. Purification of all of our material attachments and desires, realization of ourselves as pure spirit souls, and ultimately the revelation of a relationship of pure love. These are things that will automatically take place if one approaches in a relationship of love. Everything will be got thereby. Love, even if we just think of it in terms of our own experience in this world, love is such a powerful thing. It's like I'm thinking it's like nepotism. Like if you say you enter a big company, right? And there's like a whole system, and there's like a gradual scheme of how you can progress within that company and gradually get promoted from one position to another position, right? Or if you're just like best friends with the president's daughter, then you could get a top position overnight. That's one way of looking at it, So like in this world, the universe, there's this whole complex system, but and you can spend lifetimes trying to understand it, or trying to navigate it, or trying to make the best of it. Or the person who's running the whole show, just approach him, go to the boss, and he'll take care of everything. He'll make sure you have a secure future. He'll make sure you have everything you need and more.
I prefer that approach.
Of course, that's not to say will be easy. But it's highest gain. Highest gain is there. If we can go about it the right way. I have, let me see, there are some things here in our chat. Okay. Okay, I have a bit of a how do I say, controversial question here. It's been sent privately. Well, it's not completely clear to the English is not completely clear to me. How to get free from pampering spiritual leaders, treating them as if they were immortals, in front of the frustration of not getting a healthy relationship with them. I mean, this is a very complicated issue. Dealing with persons who are in the role of a spiritual leader, but they're not really fit for that position. I mean, I think, first of all, I'll say, we have this book, Sri Guru and His Grace, which was compiled from talks of our grandfather, Guru Srila Sridhar Maharaj, and this is an issue which is dealt with there. It's a very complex, I mean, this question isn't completely clear to me, and the context isn't completely clear to me. But I can say, if we look at this within the context of a mission, then there are many things to be considered. There's our own relationship with that person who's in the role of a leader. But then there's also, we have to consider the relationship that they have with others in the mission. We have to consider the faith of others. And this is where the practice of Trinada, peace, Vinichana, humility, tolerance, and respect really comes into play. It has to come into play. Because we have to, sometimes we have to put our own issues on the back burner in order to support the faith of others. So, there's our own private relationship with that person, but then we also have to consider how others are seeing that person and how others' faith may be supported by that person. So in a public context, then we may need to support the overall mood of accepting this person, even if they're not fully perfect. Of course, that's an understatement, not fully perfect. Kind of a stupid thing to say. Accept them despite their flaws. If the overarching mood of the social context we're in is, being nourished by that leader, then we want to move with that in order to support the faith of others. And then internally, we can make our own adjustments. We can make our own adjustments in our relationship with that person, and we can keep the distance that we need to in order to stay sane and in order for our own faith to not be just, everybody, this is the challenge. This is the challenge of a mission, of an organized body of people who want to make, who want to practice spiritual life. This is the challenge, that everybody can be progressive. Everybody can feel that the environment is progress. Everyone can find, everyone will have the opportunity to live a progressive spiritual life. This is the challenge in the mission, to have such an environment that supports the progress of everyone. And the thing is, what makes it very difficult is that it's not like everybody's wearing a tag that states what class they're in, you know, and it's not like there's different classrooms for each level student. You know, if you go into a school, then, you know, you've got class 1, class 2, class 3, et cetera, and you know who's in which class, and it's all very clear and clean cut, right? But if you know, within the context of a spiritual mission, it's not like that, you know. And you know, development or advancement is not dependent on how many years you've been practicing. So it's a very tricky issue, you know. So what I'm saying is, you know, which level of development everyone is at, we won't necessarily know that. Nevertheless, we have to support an environment in which everyone's level of progress is supported. So it's a very difficult thing. But you know, essentially we have to try to understand within ourselves, you know, what is suitable for us, what lessons are we supposed to be learning now, what type and what degree of relationship will be good for us with what persons, what leaders, and we have to make the necessary adjustments. Then you may ask, if you're in an environment where the leader doesn't inspire you, how is that a progressive environment? You know, well, then we can say that, you know, it gives us the opportunity to practice tolerance, humility, respect, compassion. You know, there are so many, you know, there's so much that can come out of us when we have to face these kinds of, when we face some type of oppression within the environment, or when we face some type of opposition in the environment, that indirectly can deeply support our development. You know, these are all of these situations are ones that can help us. They can help to bring to the surface our own anarthas, our own inner challenges, you know, our own ego and all its various facets, and all of these things, they come out more clearly in these types of challenging situations. You know, and the opportunity for us to, you know, grow, you know, or grow up is what I was going to say, because, you know, I mean, you know, our Gurudev, our spiritual masters, the anniversary of his day of departure from this world, it's coming up in a few days. And so we're thinking a lot at this time, you know, how much have we really been able to follow him? You know, how much have we been true disciples? But what, you know, facing, you know, this is just one example. But, you know, in the, you know, when our Father is there, then in a sense, everything's very simple and straightforward. We feel loved, we feel accepted, we feel supported. You know, everything, it's smooth sailing, you know, and it's easy to follow everything that the Father says, you know. But then when the Father is not there, you know, when the environment isn't supporting us like it was, when we're not getting the acknowledgement and encouragement that we did before, can we still put all of those things into practice? You know, all of the values that were given to us, all of the instructions that were given to us by our Father, you know, what was his desire for us? Can we still put that into practice when he's not there, and when the environment is going against us? You know, how much are those things deep rooted within us, and how much were they just on the surface and based on having that immediate support? You know, So, like Srila Sridhar says in Sri Guru and His Grace, the fire has come to test us. Are we disciples in name only? No. So, we can see these situations as opportunities to, ultimately for growth. And we also have to, what's really necessary to survive these situations is to see and to feel how those higher guardians are there. Even if not in a physical sense. Om Tad Vishnu Paramam Param Srapa Shanti Suraya Diviva Chakshuratatam. The beginning, the important verse in the Rig Veda, that the wise souls, they're always seeing that big eye overhead watching them. They always see that their divine guardians are watching over them. They don't feel alone. So although in the objective situation, it may seem that everyone's against us, but if we can try to see things in a higher sense, then it is all just like a play that's carrying out. And in the background, that loving guardian's eye is there watching over everything. It may take time and space to be able to develop this kind of vision. I mean, if I think for myself, everything I've been through, it may, maybe it took years, but eventually in retrospect, I'm able to see why that situation was necessary. That person just totally humiliated me, but there was a reason why that had to take place. There was a particular layer of ego within myself that needed to be cleared. How was I at fault? How did I bring that to me? How did I attract such a situation? And it's not about who's the winner or the loser or who's on top in the objective sense. That's not important. What's important, what's significant is what's happening in the play of consciousness. Who we see to be superior with our limited vision, it's not the case. It won't be the same with someone who's seeing through spiritual eyes. So, it really, our own faith has to grow. If our faith is deep enough, then who's in what position, it won't matter at all. It doesn't matter. That's not the qualifier. And with that vision, we can tolerate anything and everything. Not to be dismissive also, and having good friends to talk to, having someone who is a source of inspiration, these are all things that can help us in these challenging situations. And then also, we do have to, every situation is different, and depending on the degree of what can we say, if someone's in the position of leadership, then depending on like how much they're deviating, then we may need to take some kind of action. It's not that we'll put everything under the carpet. If it's something serious, if it's something that is harming, in particular harming the faith of newcomers, persons who are in a more vulnerable position, whether in a subtle or gross sense, then we should do something. We cannot just overlook everything. Our general principle will be, if something is against ourselves, then we won't give it too much attention. We won't protest against that. But if it is against others, or against our gurus, or against other Vaishnavas, then we may have a duty. That's not an absolute statement, but a general principle. So we have to consider every situation and decide what is the best way to act. Yeah. Okay. Well, I hope that that is helpful. Chinmoy Prabhu, you have any thoughts on that? You want to add anything?
No, that's wonderful, Didi. But did you get the question from Jadu Gopal?
Yes, okay. I see that. Yes. Okay. All right. Anyone else want to add anything on that topic? Or should we move on? Braja Mohini, Didi, you have anything you want to share? Okay. All right. So we have another.
I'm here. I know there's nothing I want to share, but thank you for asking. Appreciate it.
Okay. I have to ask Braja Mohini too, because anyone who's been involved in a mission, for so many years, they've developed some skills in navigating. Braja Mohini's been involved deeply in the mission for, I don't know, like 30 years now or something like that. So,
somehow Gurudev is tolerating me and all the Vaishnavas are tolerating me, but constantly I'm making offenses and doing everything wrong. But it's just proof that Gurudev is all merciful and all affectionate and all tolerant, and the Vaishnavas are all the same. So just fortunate. Thank you.
And Chinmoy Prabhu as well. He's been very deeply involved with the mission also for many years. So I know he has a lot to say, but but he's choosing not to.
I want to hear from you. This is how it helps me to hear from someone who's actually practicing Krishna consciousness and me who's just pretending.
Well, I want to say something. My sister just told me something beautiful that, if you want to do something, if something is great or worth doing, it's worth doing wrong. Anyway, so Braja, lighten up.
We have a Julian here.
Jayananda Prabhu.
Oh, was that who was speaking just now? Right. Okay, cool. You're back again. Great to have you again, Jayananda Prabhu.
Thank you.
And also we have Divya Shakti Didi here. She's the real star.
You're the moon, though. You are the moon.
Jai Divya Shakti.
Everyone.
Okay, so we have another question here. From Jadu Gopal. How do we harmonize with the environment? Jadu Gopal, do you want to elaborate a little on that? Oh, and also Ajay Prabhu is here again. Dandavat, Ajay Prabhu. Very happy you could join us again.
I think through the last question, Vishakha Titi, you've answered my question anyway, insofar as when we say how dealing with the environment, like we have to look at ourselves and see what's wrong with ourselves initially. So in my working environment, say you'd be surrounded with people who would have no concept of Krishna consciousness, but you'd get wrapped up in their energy very easily and you'd forget yourself. But I had come back after having a certain situation where you get caught up in that energy and you'd be unhappy where you were. So I came back and I looked within Sri Krishna's Saraswat Mat on the internet, and I was led towards centenary anthology, the harmonizing spirit, which is a very good example. So no, everything has been answered. Thank you, Vishakha. That's fine. Yeah, that's lovely. Thank you very much. Very good.
Cool. Sometimes it happens like that.
Yes.
Okay, well, anyone else want to suggest something?
Didi, I can suggest that because we're talking about subtle energy and ahankar, the false ego, and harmonizing with the environment. So harmonizing the environment it occurs, really harmonizing with the environment occurs on the subtle level. Like someone will say something to you and it will trigger something. And it's really like triggering your false ego. So that is a real challenge in our devotional life, to like let go of that when the environment or people are triggering your false ego. That creates a very, very strong difficulty in progressing in our spiritual life.
Yes. I mean, it's also when those things happen, I mean, if we're in the mode of, a sincere progressive practitioner, then actually we'll welcome those things because we have so many things in us that we're not even aware of. So like someone can trigger something in us that we didn't even know was there. There's one quote there, this English writer, E.M. Forster, he has some really nice quotes, but one of his quotes, from one of his books, he says, "How do I know what I think until I see what I say?" So it's like that, when we're trying to live and practice consciously, then it's like that. People will come and poke us in different ways, and it's kind of like, oh, there's a sore spot there, like, oh. And this is why having, not just living alone in an isolated way, that's why it's so healthy and necessary for us to have interaction with others, because that's the only way that these things can really come to the surface. Dandavat Devi Shakti. She's saying goodbye.
She's sitting.
Okay. If we're living in a cave somewhere, then it's easy to be humble, and it's easy to think that we're pure realized beings, but then to live with others and to realize like how annoyed we get, how intolerant we are of others, or to realize how envious we are of others. I mean, it's embarrassing, like how we can become envious over the most insignificant things, or how we can become annoyed by the most insignificant things, to see these weaknesses in ourselves, So it's really important that we have that kind of interaction, and those triggers go off, because then we can like look at, it's like we're looking in the mirror. We use a mirror to look at our physical self, but in our interactions with others, it's like there's this subtle mirror of our own state of consciousness. If we're being conscious, if we're being introspective, if we're trying to progress in a conscious way, then it will be like that, and we'll see all of these things. It's like a doctor. It's like poking your stomach. Does it hurt here? Does it hurt here? Or testing your muscles. Does it hurt here? Oh, ow, like here's the sore spot, Okay, now we can treat you. Now we're seeing the issue. So, we have to be, what I want to say is that we want to be optimistic about these things. And, just like a student, or, a research student, it's not, it's like, oh, I found where I'm going wrong here. Yes. Now I can make some adjustment. Now I can improve. Now I know where to put my attention. And that's actually an expression of grace. That there's one, the ability to see that, to have that clarity, that's a bestowal of grace, actually. The eye, there's one place Srila Sridhar Maharaj talks about that, and he says, the eye to see our own defects, that is our great wealth. To be able to have that clarity. Om Jnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshormilitanjena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah. We are blind. Our eyes are covered in cataracts. We cannot see our true nature. But Guru, he's giving that, he's shining that flashlight, giving us that vision. And then, having that clarity of vision, that's the first step to progressing beyond that. So we have to thank all those people who trigger us. and show us where we have some weak points, where we need to focus on our development.
Dandos Vishakha Didi. Thank you for bringing that point.
Ramananda Prabhu has also joined us. Dandavat Prabhu, welcome. Hey, Ratnavali is with us. How exciting. Dandavat Ratna. Wow, how exciting to have you with us. I was thinking about you so much today, actually. I was thinking how much love Gurudev had for you. Because I was thinking about how, kind of like what we were just talking about earlier, how, with our ordinary vision, we can't necessarily see who's in a higher, who's in a lower position. But someone like Ratna, she's one of those devotees who's like in the background. You wouldn't think, oh, she's this big great person, but
I'm so not.
She was so special to our Gurudev, and it's something I think about from time to time, because and I think what it is that you're not an envious person, and that is such an important quality in Krishna consciousness, to be free from envy.
It's very generous of you. This is an example of the merciful Vaishnava.
Really,
supremely generous.
Really, we don't even know your position.
I have no position. Seriously,
seriously.
What do I do? I don't do nothing. I don't do anything.
Right. No, seriously. Let me tell this story. You're going on mute, okay? But there is this one time. This is like a nice example of why we have to appreciate everyone. Because Ratna, she works full time as a doctor, and she's married. She takes care of her mother, and when she can, she's supporting the temple. So she's, like in terms of a mission, she's like kind of in the background. But I saw our Gurudev really gave her a lot of special attention. And there was this one time in particular when we were in Italy, and he said, maybe it was our Gurudev's last day in Italy, and he said along these lines, I cannot always come, and he said, but others can come. And then he pointed to Ratna and he said, she is your friend also, Ratnavali, she's very great, she can come, like something like that, and it's something that I've always remembered, like, you know, what was he seeing in her? Like he was marking her out for some special quality. So, you know, anyway, we're very, very happy to have you with us, Anna. Okay, I think I kind of I lost my thread there. I don't remember what we were talking about. Anyone else want to add anything or ask anything? Or I think we maybe finished that last point of discussion. But really, you know, like the way that Gurudev looked at all of us and the way that we would make our judgments on who was who, they were very different. And sometimes the most unexpected persons, you know, were the ones that really captured his heart. You know, like there was this one man in Calcutta who we heard about him from, I wasn't there, but we heard about him. Maybe Shakti, she's nodding her head. And maybe Braja Mohini was also there. There was this poor Indian man in Calcutta, and I think he like sold potatoes or something. Was it something like that? He sold potatoes or something like that. Very, very poor. And he lived nearby our temple in Calcutta. And he ended up taking initiation from Gurudev. And he used to come every morning and he'd offer flowers, and he had this small donation, and Gurudev explains that the money he used to use to buy cigarettes, he would offer that to Gurudev every day, you know? And then he got very sick, and he was in hospital, and he passed away, and Gurudev made some really incredible comments about him, like something like, I was blessed with his association, but Krishna took him away from me. I lost his association. And I think he also said something like, you know, he has the kind of devotion that I'm afraid of, you know, like he made some very astonishing comments about someone, you know, who's like one of many simple Bengali persons who would come and give their respects every day, you know, to our Gurudev. You know, you wouldn't blink, you know, so many were like that coming, but our, you know, he had some very special quality, and our Gurudev, you know, he saw that, you know, and he had that deep appreciation for him. The Paramahamsa vision, you know, seeing beyond the superficial, you know, and seeing through to the essence. Our Gurudev had that quality.
Didi.
Yeah, yes, Prabhu.
I can make another comment as well, because there's one way we can look at it, that, you know, maybe we're being tested or tried or something like that, being poked, triggered and stuff like that. But on the higher level, higher Vaishnava, what they're seeing is the mercy of the Lord. And honestly, I believe if you want to practice Trinayana Pisanuchana, you want to practice humility, tolerance, giving out on others, and not respecting any for yourself, live with the devotees. Because there you will really get the opportunity to like practice that. You know, Krishna will test you, but we can think of it as a test, but we can also, the higher devotees are thinking this is the mercy of Gurudev, or Gurudev, Gauranga, Krishna, that we are being this opportunity to be purified. Krishna is saying, here's some difficulty you having for coming towards me. Here, I'm going to help you.
Jai.
Vishakha, I have a question.
Yes, Didi.
So we have Gurudev's disappearance day is coming up, and we're hearing that the appearance day and the disappearance day is the same. I've heard that, but it doesn't. And you can, you know, you can kind of I guess, sort of intellectually understand that or think you understand that, but really it doesn't seem that it doesn't seem that way. So I just wondered, because we're feeling it in a different way, I guess. But is it really considered the same?
I mean, nothing's the same. I mean, in one context, you may say it's the same, but in another context, there is a difference in mood. You know, there's a difference in sentiment. So, you know, there is a slight difference in how the days will be observed. I mean, like, just to kind of highlight that point, are you know, in Mayapur, there's one society, and they have I don't know if they do it every year, but on some occasions they have like this it's like it's a Gaudiya group. I might get in trouble for saying this, but we're not streaming live today, so but there's this Gaudiya group, and different Gaudiya missions, they join it, and what they'll do is they have a special, like, joined combined festival on the appearance and disappearance days of Srila Saraswati Thakur. Or maybe it's only on his appearance day. Maybe it's only on his appearance day. But anyway, they have this special festival, combined festival. And what they'll do, at least on this 1 year that I recall, is they didn't just plan it, but they did. They held like their main meeting point at the Samadhi of Srila Saraswati Thakur. And Gurudev said that actually that is inappropriate. You know, that on the appearance day, on the day of appearance of Saraswati Thakur, to hold a festival at his Samadhi, which is his place of disappearance, he described it as Siddhanta Virod, against the Siddhanta, because there is a difference in mood there. There's a difference in sentiment. So he said it wasn't appropriate. I mean, I also, just speaking kind of in terms of my practical experience, you know, also in the Mat, you know, we would decorate differently on the days of appearance and disappearance. The days of disappearance, you know, we would decorate in a more sober way, you know, more restrained way. You know, it is you know, less of, you know, like a, you know, big, colorful, celebratory, you know, expression. So yes, I mean, you know, I mean, as I said, in one context, maybe you'll say they're the same, but in another context, you know, they are in a more refined way, then, you know, they're different. You know, I mean, you know, in a general sense, you know, like Gurudev gives the example, the rising and setting of the sun, you know, the appearance and disappearance of the Vaishnava, you know, he's not really gone, you know, that vision, you know, that vision has its place, but if we go too far down that angle, we'll become impersonalists, actually, you know. So there is you know, there is difference in sentiment. We can't ignore that, you know, difference in feeling. We can't ignore that. So yeah, does that
Vishakha Mata, can I go ahead?
Yes,
I was staying in a place. Thank you. Yeah, I was staying in a place near Pashupati Temple in Nepal at a school, a high school, and giving classes. But there was a place called Batis Putali. Batis Putali means 32 butterflies. Batis is 32, and Putali is butterfly in Nepali. Maybe in Sanskrit as well. And I was just wondering, they call it that because Lord Ram came to Pashupati there, maybe with Sita, and they said he was served by 32 what do you call the men, like Manaka Devis from the heavenly planets? They came down, descended, and incarnated as butterflies, and I don't know what, and I'm just sitting here with a bunch of carpenter bees. I don't know if you can see them here, but hear them in the background. I wonder what kind of service that they can render, insects, other than just being beautiful, making sounds, or just the color of what kind of service can they render to God? And do you have an idea about how they serve that, other than their sound and their beauty?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, actually, in some ways, animals are better off than us because they can't really do anything wrong.
Right. At least they can't commit apparatus.
Yeah, I mean, animals they can acquire gyata sukriti. They can acquire they can acquire unconscious spiritual fortune. That could be done by, if you take bumblebees, then if they're producing honey and their honey is offered to the Lord, to the devotees, then they're acquiring sukriti through that. Flowers, if they're being offered to the Lord, to the devotees. Actually, Srila Sridhar Maharaj mentions in one place that, animal or plant life, they may actually be in a better position than humans, according to their development of Sukriti. It may be so, because now, if you take a snapshot at this current moment moment in time, you'll say a tree is not in such a good position and a human is in a better position, but that human can be moving towards an animal birth, and that tree, because of some sukriti, perhaps their bark or their leaves or flowers were offered to a Vaishnava or the Lord, then they can be moving towards a good position in a spiritual birth, situated to make further progress, spiritually speaking. So yes, everyone has the opportunity. Srila Sridhar Maharaj has mentioned how birds, if birds circumambulate a temple, then they're acquiring spiritual fortune through that. If a dog takes some prasadam, or a dog is protecting the devotees, So yeah, certainly every entity in existence has that facility, has that possibility. It is open door for everyone. There's no discrimination here. And even the Lord himself, he's sometimes appearing in these lower species of life, like fish, boar. So how much blessings are they getting through that? we don't actually know everything that's going on, and who's who. Okay, well, anything else from anyone, or should we? Is that okay, Jayadev? Is that sorry, Jayananda? Is that helpful?
Yeah.
Okay.
Super duper. My battery was dying. I had to get a charging cable.
Okay. We're happy to see the
Beautiful.
bees.
Yeah, you can see them. Isn't that cute? How about the flowers and all cool
Yeah,
here
we
and
see
the
the
Buddha?
flowers. Yeah.
This is a Thai, some kind of Thai goddess or something holding a water pot. Pretty cool, huh? The fountain actually. It's turned off. Yeah.
Oh, now
Even the
Narayani has also joined us. Dandavat Narayani, happy to have you with us.
Dhanyavad. Beautiful to hear you all today.
Thanks for joining.
My pleasure. Now it's a happy day.
Subhasini Didi, you've been very quiet. Do you want to share anything? We're also very, very honored to have you with us.
No, really, everything very nice, beautiful, beautiful to hear. And all so much things I'm also learning. Thank you.
Okay. Well, Chinmoy Prabhu, should we close there? Any final words?
Very good, Didi. Very happy that you are able to be with us.
Oh, it's so life-giving for me. You know, I mean, nowadays the situation the world is in, it's so crazy, and we're not all able to meet in the way that we used to. And I mean, this is so meaningful right now to be here with. I mean, we have so many amazing devotees here, and some of you I've known for years and years, and some of you I'm getting to know now. Making new friends, and it's wonderful in this virtual sphere. Our family, our Gurudev's family, is being nourished and maintained, and also growing and expanding. So it's really, really meaningful. We're grateful all of you can come, and especially grateful to Chinmoy Prabhu for facilitating this.
Vishakha, did you meet Stephanie? Did you meet already?
Yes, we did. She was here right at the very beginning. Yeah, she was here before me. Yeah.
She's been coming to our programs, and we're very happy to know her. She's a super inspiration, and we chant. She lives in Austin, and we chant in the park on Sundays, and we're always there together. And yesterday she brought the cookies, the prasadam for distribution. So we're super happy that she's giving us so much. She's enlivening us here, so we're very happy.
Did you meet them at the park, Stephanie? How did you first meet?
Well, I'm very lucky that you have all come to my area, so I'm so thankful for you. Just through a Facebook group, and I saw they were doing I saw Raj Mohini doing a kirtan. I'm like, I don't know this person. Who is she? So I went out to their space, their ranch that they have, and I met them there.
Okay. And is this the first exposure you've had to these teachings, or previously?
No, I've had other exposure. For not for that long, for about a year.
Okay. Yeah. Interesting.
But through they're the first devotees that I've met from your mission.
Okay. Cool. Wonderful. Very nice. Okay, well, we wish you all a very nourishing, spiritually nourishing week ahead, and also asking for your blessings for myself, and hope we can keep meeting again and again.
Jai Vishakha Devi Dasi ki.
Jai Shri Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Jai Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Shri Hari Nam Sankirtan ki jai. Jai Gaur Premanandi.